See, the world is starting to wake up to all this bullshit. Now, y'all heard what that man said. They be beating this girl up after the whistle, bruh. Beating her up, man. And all y'all want to do is tell us, we casual fans, we don't know basketball. This is a physical sport. Man, ain't no physical sport. It's hate and jealousy, bruh. And they be beating that girl up, man. And the WNBA allow this shit, bruh. But like he said, the world's biggest star. But let me guess. He buck dancing. He glazing. He tap dancing. He a coon. Come on, bruh. The world is starting to wake up. The biggest star in probably sports right now, bruh. Y'all letting this girl get done like that. And that's probably why she hurt. And we all know.
The WNBA just got exposed, and the media flip was lightning fast. All of a sudden, the same outlets that were quiet are now jumping in like Caitlin Clark's personal security detail. Helmets, whistles, and all. While Clark is out there getting body checked like it's football, and side-eyed like she just robbed someone's locker, the headlines are now exploding with outrage. Dirty fouls, total disrespect. It's no longer just sports. It's a full-on soap opera with sneakers. Flying elbows, blind refs, and media finally stepping in to say, yeah, this has gone way too far. Stick around, because what's unfolding in the WNBA right now will have you wondering, is this a basketball league or the next big reality show?
Fareed ain't gonna do it. Somebody gotta do something, right? But let's head on over to X right now. Pull up this footage, man. Shout out to the homeboy Mike.
Obviously being fouled. Right in the first quarter, Caitlin Clark obviously being fouled. The refs don't call it.
And it's crazy because let me go back there. Because the referee's literally right there. Like, bro, you're right there.
At some point, folks must have confused basketball with a wrestling promo. They tossed out the definition of physical play and replaced it with something straight out of a WWE script. Now, shoulder bumps look more like cheap shots, and hard screens, they're starting to resemble something you'd get arrested for. There's a huge difference between tough, gritty hoops and just plain dirty play, but somewhere along the line, that line got completely blurred. And surprise, surprise, it always seems to happen when Caitlin Clark is the one taking the hit.
Why is this happening? And I went back and I was thinking the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. There are, the WNBA opening game for Caitlin Clark set all-time records. There are millions of people that never cared about the WNBA at all, that now care because Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA.
Let's take a quick step back. Physical play? Absolutely. That's part of the game. It's what separates the backyard ballers from the real ones. You're supposed to feel the hits, elbows flying in the paint, bodies crashing under the basket. This is basketball, not some slow motion dance routine. Nobody's saying the WNBA should turn into a spa day with cucumber water and no contact. The problem isn't toughness. It's when that toughness turns into a cheap shot clinic. When hard-nosed defense starts looking more like football drills at the local park. That's when we've got a problem.
I can relate to that young lady. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my
skin
color.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despise, and people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't true.
Right.
And
the media? Suddenly they've gone blind, deaf, and clueless. The moment Caitlin Clark gets knocked to the floor, they act like the footage doesn't exist. No reaction, no outrage, no comment. It's like every ESPN panel turns into a ghost town, tumbleweeds and awkward silence, while another clip of her getting leveled racks up millions of views. She's out here getting hacked like she's in a Mortal Kombat highlight reel. And what does she get in return? Nothing but crickets. Maybe a half-hearted shrug, like she just tripped over her own laces instead of getting launched across the court.
Finding these women, bruh. Finding them, suspending them, and make an example out of somebody, bruh. We ain't gonna tolerate this shit, homie. We not gonna be tolerating this shit right here. What's that guy's name that's getting ready to come to the NBA? The white dude? I can't think of his name right now. The rookie that's going to Dallas. I guarantee you, man, they is not gonna be letting that dude get treated like Caitlin Clark, bruh. And all the men in the WNBA ain't gonna be jealous and shit neither, bruh. We know what we see, bruh. The problem is this, man. A lot of people don't like Caitlin Clark, bro. They just hate the girl so much, man, that they just can't even when the truth is staring them in their face, they chose to go the other way, bruh. Now, that's what you call hate.
Now let's rewind to the glory days of the NBA. Michael Jordan used to take some serious hits, got hammered like a Thanksgiving turkey more than once. But guess what? He went to the line. Whistles blew, fouls were called. You could try to bulldoze MJ, but seconds later he'd be smirking at the free throw line, ready to make you pay. That's how basketball used to work, officiated with logic, fairness, and accountability. But in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark gets body slammed on live television, and the refs react like they're counting down the last 5 minutes of a Friday shift at the DMV. Now here comes the best part. The comedy gold. Anytime fans call out the nonsense, a small army of basketball purists magically appears, like it's their sworn duty to defend unwhistled flagrant fouls. They start preaching about physicality like it's some ancient art form, as if clotheslining someone mid-drive is a noble act of passion. It's the culture, they say. Like the culture was built on body checks and broken logic. At this rate, don't be surprised if they start passing out brass knuckles during warm-ups and calling it defensive strategy.
But with all that being said, the WNBA referees has been having issues with getting these calls right when it comes to Caitlin Clark and the Fever, bruh. And I'm telling you, we have another case of that. And shout out to all the fans that, put these TikToks together, put these videos together, kind of, breaking down everything that has happened with the WNBA referees, because we have another game and we have another situation where WNBA referees fail to make the right calls against Caitlin Clark and the Fever. But then people want to get mad when Sophie Cunningham pretty much did what she did.
Let's just be real for a second. Some of these so-called hard fouls, if they happened anywhere outside a basketball court, we'd be talking criminal charges. And if this were happening to anyone else but Caitlin Clark, there'd be full-blown TV specials, therapist interviews, and think pieces about how we need to protect women in sports. But Caitlin, she's too popular, too competitive, and let's be honest, too blonde for the narrative to wrap itself around her. So instead of outrage, what do we get? Roughhouse defense dressed up as grit. Open season on one of the league's biggest stars, and everyone's just calling it toughness. If physicality had a PR team, they'd be suing for defamation right now. And the wildest part? Caitlin actually likes physical basketball. She's not asking for special treatment or soft calls. She wants the challenge. But it's kind of hard to compete when you're spending half the game dodging shoulders like it's full contact dodgeball. There's a difference between testing someone's skills and trying to knock their molars into the fourth row. But apparently, that nuance is lost on a whole lot of people. It's like they skipped basketball 101 and went straight to being petty for dummies. Now here's where the chaos hits peak irony. Every shove, every cheap shot, every clip of Clark hitting the hardwood, it goes viral. It fuels hot takes. It fills debate shows. The league profits off her pain. They turn her bruises into content and then have the nerve to tell her to tough it out. No protection, no accountability, just hashtags and highlight reels with all the depth of a kiddie pool. Meanwhile, Caitlin keeps showing up, competing, taking hits, and still outshining everyone who wants to take her down.
Hype and all the videos that everyone on social media has me watching, a lot of clips from the WNBA right now too, and it's absolutely crazy to me to see the types of fouls and the lack of calls that are having on them from these refs that the players are doing. They're just straight hacking each other. And like, we wouldn't even allow that like at our kids' games that we go to watch, let alone in the NBA. And it's just wild to me that you have somebody that took stadiums which only had like 7,000 people in them to attend live games to completely packed and tripling the ticket prices.
Meanwhile, the same media outlets that once called her overhyped are now sneakily posting pics of her black eye just to boost engagement. A modern sports drama, hurt her, then profit off her pain. And let's talk about the refs. You'd think with cameras covering every inch of the floor, the officiating would be sharper than a conspiracy theorist's diagram. But nope, Caitlin gets launched across the baseline like she got fired out of a cannon. And what's the call? Nothing. No whistle, no tech, just a casual jog back up the court while she's scraping herself off the hardwood like she's in a Looney Tunes episode. And when she dares to show emotion, cue the hot takes, she needs to calm down. She's not ready for the league. She should adjust. Adjust to what exactly? To physics being ignored, to refs treating the rulebook like it's optional bedtime reading, to being the only player expected to survive a gladiator match in a league trying to sell family-friendly basketball? Let's not dance around it. The jealousy is thick, thicker than unshaken protein powder. Some players don't see Caitlyn as a competitor. They see her as a human billboard for everything they feel overlooked for. So instead of stepping up their own game, they turn her into a target, physically and verbally. That's not tough defense. That's performative bitterness wrapped in elbow pads. And yet, she keeps showing up, she keeps scoring, she keeps selling out arenas that couldn't draw crowds even with free pizza and fireworks. Caitlyn doesn't just bring game, she brings receipts. Every hit she takes becomes a highlight, every non-call fuels a viral moment, and every player who tries to humble her with a cheap shot, they just make her more iconic. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. The more they try to break her, the bigger her legend grows. The WNBA asked for attention, and they got it. But now they're stuck in a trap of their own making. Caitlyn Clark is the golden goose, and instead of protecting it, they keep poking it with a stick, hoping it keeps laying golden eggs, while pretending they're not part of the chaos. So go ahead, keep selling the just physical narrative, keep ignoring blatant fouls, keep watching as media gymnastics reach Olympic levels trying to spin it all. But don't be shocked when fans start asking, is this still basketball, or a reboot of American Gladiators? And when the next dirty play sends Caitlyn into another viral frenzy, maybe, just maybe, the conversation will finally shift from she needs to toughen up to why are we still letting this happen?
The Caitlyn Clark effect continues to go wild. We are witnessing a cultural force that has not been seen since Tiger Woods. Let's talk about the effect her teammate has gotten over the last couple weeks. Sophie Cunningham defended her Fever teammate last week in a scuffle against the Mercury, in response to what many people would consider a bit more hazing than usual for Caitlyn Clark over the last year and a half. Next, let's look at the top followed WNBA athletes in the league right now. Just in the last week since she defended her teammate, she has now gained over 1 million followers collectively. By the end of this week, she'll probably be top 4. Now, we don't have official figures for TikTok, but she is at 1.3 million followers on TikTok now.
And while we're on the topic of uncomfortable truths wrapped in whistles and missed calls, let's talk about the real MVPs of this chaos, the refs. And by MVPs, I mean masters of vanishing penalties. Because the moment Caitlyn Clark touches the ball, it's like the rulebook clocks out for lunch. Whistles, gone. Accountability, missing. It's like they spot her getting slammed in 4K and respond with a casual, nothing to see here. Just another Olympic level takedown on aisle 5. It's actually impressive how consistently bad it's gotten. In just her last 10 possessions, Clark's absorbed more contact than a full NHL playoff series. And the refs are out here acting like they're watching modern art instead of a basketball game. Arms flailing, bodies hitting the hardwood, legs flying like it's a martial arts film. And the refs sitting there in Zen mode, like they're wearing noise-canceling headphones and meditating through chaos.
You think that was dirty by Caitlyn Clark? Let's start there. You think that was dirty by Caitlyn Clark?
It don't matter. It was basketball. It don't matter if it was dirty or not. It was bad. I mean, we seen intentional dirty plays in both leagues. It don't even matter if it was dirty or not. It was a foul. She stopped a layup.
It was a foul. It was a good hard foul, and Caitlyn wasn't even wrong for going to defend her teammate because it was some good hard fouling going on. That's it.
Let's stop pretending this is subtle. At this point, you'd have to be either willfully blind or completely clueless not to see what's happening. Caitlyn Clark isn't being defended. She's being targeted, tossed, and treated like a piñata at a backyard birthday party. And yet, some folks still act like she's flopping for attention, like she just tripped over her shoelace. Nah, this isn't theater. This is survival. And somehow, after all the abuse, she still gets up, buries a 3, and runs back down the court like her spine isn't getting realigned every quarter. What's even wilder? The growing crowd of people doing intellectual backflips to justify it. She needs to toughen up. This is what she signed up for. it builds character. Oh really? Getting body slammed is now a growth opportunity? By that logic, let's just rip up the court and replace it with gravel. Maybe throw in some folding chairs and let them settle things like it's a wrestling pay-per-view. And now, stepping into this beautiful storm of chaos is Coach Christy Sides, the architect of what might be the greatest act of unintentional sabotage we've seen all season. Because somehow, some way, she's pulled off what years of envy, cheap shots, and TikTok rants couldn't. She's turned Caitlin's own team into her biggest obstacle. Bravo, Coach. Standing ovation. If the refs don't wreck Clark's rhythm, the system you've built around her surely will.
You gotta put it in perspective, right? These girls have been grinding to grow the game of basketball in the WNBA. They've been grinding to grow the sport to the world, the viewerships. They've been grinding for all of this. And then you have this girl that comes along from college and is an instant change. She's handed pretty much being the face of the league. There's going to be girls that are offended by that. And there's going to be girls that think she's got to earn it and she doesn't deserve this early. She's handled it great. I think she's performed last year. She's performing again this year. I think she's the rightful face.
Let's not sugarcoat this. If Caitlin Clark is getting knocked to the floor possession after possession, and you're not calling a timeout, adjusting your strategy, or even blinking, congratulations. You're not coaching, you're just hosting the chaos. Every time she gets hit and there's radio silence from the bench, you can almost hear loyalty leaving the building like it's being sucked out by a vacuum. This isn't tough love. This is passive-aggressive sideline theater, starring sneakers, Gatorade bottles, and blank stares. And this isn't just bad basketball. It feels personal. Other teams have tried to break Caitlin with elbows, cheap shots, and endless online noise. But somehow, it's her own coaching staff that found the ultimate weapon. Do nothing. Let her fight through triple teams like she's the final boss in a video game, while her teammates stand frozen beyond the arc like they're waiting for takeout. And when the foul count stacks up like unpaid parking tickets, still no response, no shouting, no bench fire, no text called in defense of their star, just blank expressions, enforced claps, and a mood that screams, well, that's showbiz, kid. You can practically hear the internal monologue. Maybe if she keeps getting knocked around, she'll stop stealing the spotlight.
Dominated by black women in a black league that they want to mirror the NBA. But unfortunately, them white girls, they got an extra, they got an extra 3-point finger or something. Because this girl has done 565 games. She only played 45 games and she's one away from tying the WNBA record. WNBA record. This is her second season.
But here's the twist. This masterclass in sideline indifference comes dressed in the perfect disguise. We're just developing the whole team. She needs to adjust to the league. Right. And next, you'll be telling us gravity's a myth and fouls are just a matter of opinion. Because let's be real, we all saw what's happening. Caitlin Clark was supposed to be the future, the face of the league, the ticket seller. Instead, she's being treated like a crash test dummy in a league-wide experiment called, let's see how much she can take. And the timing, oh, it's too perfect. Just as Caitlin starts to find her rhythm, just as she begins adjusting to the physicality, the chaos gets dialed up, screens become body checks, rebounds turn into wrestling matches, and yet somehow the narrative flips and she's painted as the issue. The level of disrespect, you could slice it up and serve it at halftime like it's part of the concessions menu. Meanwhile, players with half the resume and a fraction of the impact get treated like porcelain dolls. No contact, no criticism, no accountability. But Caitlin, she's open season, the lightning rod, the scapegoat, the headline bait. And now, thanks to the most passive coaching we've seen all year, she's not just the centerpiece of the team, she's the sacrificial lamb in a season that was supposed to be her coronation.
The way that you thank the player that is doing that is to like jab her in the eye and shove her when she's making shots and all kinds of stuff just because the refs are not good enough to call it. And it's just crazy to me, like, instead of that, why not take it upon yourself to get better so that you can compete with her? And if you think they're competitive with her, a lot of them are not, because she's in the league already setting scoring records and assist records the very first year she's there. So obviously she's a better player than a lot of people in the league. And to take a player that is rocket shipping your sport makes absolutely no sense. And the fact that the WNBA is now only starting to step in a little.
Clip all this. And still no accountability, no league statement, no explanation from the officials, no transparency about missed calls, just broken plays and good vibes. As if that's supposed to fix everything. Meanwhile, Coach Christy Sides holds her clipboard like it's just a stage prop, while her star player keeps taking full body hits like she's in a sumo tournament. This isn't strategy, this is a masterclass in how to let brilliance burn out. All while pretending you're building something special. But hey, congratulations, coach. You made your mark. When they eventually write the book on how to waste a generational talent, your chapter, it'll be bold, maybe even italicized. Because while the critics, the haters, and the bitter former players tried everything to take Caitlin Clark down, you did what none of them could. You broke her momentum from the inside, with a playbook that leaves her unprotected, a roster that stands around like extras, and a front office more concerned with PR than protection. All while fans are literally setting social media on fire. So sure, the refs swallowed their whistles. The league turned a blind eye, and Coach Sides. She grabbed the gold medal in quiet sabotage and sprinted with it. And the best part? They'll all shrug and say they were just doing their jobs. While Caitlin Clark walks off the floor with one more bruise, one more silent injustice, and a brutal reminder that even the brightest stars can't shine alone, not without someone willing to fight for them.